Hey everybody, welcome to Friday again. Glad to have you back. It's been kind of a crazy week in my world, but hope it hasn't been too bad in yours. Um, yeah, so we're talking about easy to love, difficult to discipline. And last week we talked about how children are kind of like dogs. They can feel our intent, right? And so as we assume negative intent, we fuel the fire, right? And then nobody's a winner, right? We get upset, we start to blame, and it's a mess. We've all been there, right? And so the next thing in the book talks about how we can make it up, right? So we've been in this blame game. We've been in this negative intent place in our life, in our brain, in our hearts. And what can we do then to help that grow into positive intent, right? And so we're on page 151 today. And so, yesterday we left that thing when things with your child are just ready to combust, right? We need to confirm to the child that we're allies, right? We're not enemies in this. I was visiting with a parent this week who said, yeah, I think my child hates me right now, or he thinks we hate him. And she said, I really am trying to figure out how to help him know that we really are allies, but we do have boundaries, right? And it's a teenager, so he's a teenager, I guess. So sometimes that's a little bit trickier in how we approach it, right? But the principle is the same. So, as we're straightforward, right, and assuming that the child's intents are positive, then that helps us to see them in a positive light and not assume that they're bad, right, and that they are trying to make our lives difficult. Because sometimes it's just like, really, are you really trying to do this to me, right? No, they're not, right? We need to assume that the child is just simply trying to achieve a goal. I love this quote. Simply trying to achieve a goal, but lacks the appropriate skills to do so. I mean, think about us. Think about our lives. I know sometimes I get frustrated, or sometimes I'm like, oh, there's a ball around, I might kick it because I don't have the skills. Like when it comes to computers or when it comes to new social media, right? I get really frustrated with Instagram. In fact, I have quite a few people who say, how come you're not posting on Instagram anymore? And I have to say, because I sometimes I don't know how to do that, right? And so I'm simply trying to achieve a goal. I'm frustrated. I don't know how, I don't have the skills to do it. So as we think about their social and emotional growth, they haven't been taught that skill yet, right? This week in class, the standard from the Utah State Core was rules for conversation, teaching children rules for conversation. And we got to giggling in the lab school because I said, yeah, that's very appropriate for 4 and 5-year-olds, right? But the issue becomes we assume that they have this skill, but they don't. They don't come to this earth blessed with these skills. These are skills that have to be taught. Another one of my favorite ones is, paying attention. What does that look like? What does that sound like for children? Some of my teachers will say it, and I'm like, they don't know what that means, right? And so then we have to teach them. It means it looks like this, and it looks like this, and it looks like this. So it's the same thing with rules for conversation. And it comes back to this quote, right? The child is simply trying to achieve a goal but lacks the appropriate skills to do so. So then we become that guider. Is there a word like guider? We become that guide, right? We become that teacher. We become that adult that helps that child figure out those skills needed for those big emotions right then. So as we think about the cupcakes, right? Mark wanted to grab those cupcakes. It was in like 2 or 3 videos back. And what was his intent? I think we've talked about it, right? He was turning 5 and his mom made him 5 cupcakes and they had 4 friends there. But he was turning 5. And so my intent is, thanks, Mom. You made me 5 cupcakes because I'm 5 on my birthday. So we almost have to start thinking like a child and not like an adult anymore, right? And that's the problem. We think like an adult. They're thinking like a child. and then the combustion happens, right? So if we can take it and think about, okay, what is this child thinking about? What's their intent? It's not typically negative. So looking back at Mark's, right, I love the questions that Dr. Bailey poses. She says, was his intent to keep the other children from having fun? Probably not as a 5-year-old, barely turned 5-year-old. He wanted to irritate his mother to get more of her attention? Probably not, right? He wanted to humiliate his mother in front of the other parents? Yeah, I don't even think he might know what that means. And he wanted to make sure he got enough cupcakes on his birthday because he was 5. You bet, right? That was his intent. And so as we approach that, I think his mom might have handled things a little differently had she recognized his intent, right? So even as adults, sometimes we don't know our intent, especially if we're in our brainstem, right? Heat of the moment, right? We may not consciously know our intent for doing something. So we're adults and they're children, right? And they don't have the experience. They don't have the skill set that we have. And so that's our job, right? Is to help them figure that out. We all tend to think that we all know what people are thinking, right? We don't, right? The Olympics are happening right now. And I was watching Nathan Chen the other night, and as the announcers are talking about his wonderful, he came out and he just, gave the big fist bump. And, we all say, he must be so excited about that. And I'm sure he is. But we still don't know his intent, right? And so I think there was a story in the book about Tiger Woods and how he missed a hole and how he had a smile. And the announcer was talking about what he felt like Tiger was feeling. And there again, we don't really know, but we assume, right? So as we assume positive intent, right, to others, we define them positively, we hold them in high esteem, and then when we do that, it brings happiness to our life. I remember about 15 years ago, I decided to give everybody 5 minutes of stupidity. I would probably change the name of it now, but back then, that's what I referred to it. I'd read something or heard something, and I just thought, you know what? I need to give everybody 5 minutes of stupidity. I would probably call it 5 minutes of grace now, but if somebody would cut me off, I'm like, maybe they're in a hurry, like maybe somebody in their car is having a baby, or maybe they're trying to get to a doctor's appointment, or maybe their child is hurt and their wife has had come home, or, and so just that, maybe this is what's happening in their life, rather than, you're such a jerk. Why did you just do that to me? And it helps me to calm, right? When I can give those 5 minutes to them to assume that positive intent. So when we do this, we've mastered the power of love. If you don't know what the power of love is, check back into the videos and you'll find the power of love, which means what we offer to others, we strengthen in ourselves, right? And who doesn't want that? So as we attribute this positive intent, we put ourselves in a teaching position, right? So the combustion is gone, we're allies, right? And the children then they're in a learning position. So in reality, we're modeling the value of cooperation, right? So we're coming together, going back to the birthday cakes again. What if mom would have done that, right? What if mom would have assumed positive intent, right? So let's read a little bit from the book. She says, I can't get my fumble fingers to work. She says here, the negative intent is this. The mother says, Adam, hold your brother's hand while we cross the street. Adam says, I don't want to. So Dylan, the brother, reaches for Adam's hand, and when Adam withdraws it, Dylan grabs Adam's hand. In response, Adam punches Dylan. We've seen this. We've done this. Adam says, I won't hold your hand. Mother says, Adam, what are you doing? Was hitting your brother nice? We know that's not right, right? Hitting your brother was not nice. It shouldn't be asked as a question. Stop being so mean. Hold hands and let's go. Adam grabs Dylan's hand and squeezes it hard. I know I've done this too, and I've watched children do it. Dylan screams in pain. Mother, That's it. I've had it, Adam. When we get home, you will not go outside or watch television. Now straighten up or you'll sit in your room all day tomorrow too, right? We know the value of natural consequences, right? And sometimes when we're in our brainstem, right, when that's about to combust, we can't think of anything natural for that, right? And we've just made ourselves enemies with the children. So as we rewind, right, and we do it again and we do it differently, this is the positive intent. Mother says, Adam, hold your brother's hand while we cross the street. Adam says, I don't want to. Dylan reaches for Adam's hand. When Adam withdraws it, Dylan grabs Adam's hand. In response, Adam punches Dylan. Nothing's changed. Adam, I don't want to hold your hand. Mom, oh, Dylan, that hurt, right? Not was hitting your brother nice. Adam punched you and you were just doing what I asked you to do. Tell Adam, I don't like it when you hit me. Stop. This teaches Dylan to have an assertiveness about his trying to solve problems. Then the mom says, Adam, you wanted to cross the street without holding hands, and Dylan wanted Dylan to understand this. This assumes the positive intent. When he didn't listen to you, you got mad and hit him. You may not hit your brother. Hitting hurts. If someone does not listen to your words, ask me for help. Then this offers usable information, right? What can he do when it doesn't work? I will help you find a solution other than hitting. This teaches Adam to ask for help. And then mom says again, we hold hands to stay safe while we cross the street. In our family, we will look out for each other. Dylan, you hold my right hand, and Adam, you hold my left. Right? She didn't come back and ask, do you want to hold my hand? She just said assertively, we're going to cross the street. This is how we do it. So you hold this one and you hold this one. And this is what I see a lot of teachers struggling with in the lab school. They want to be nice. They don't want to be mean, right? But there's a real difference between assertiveness and being mean. And so as I try to help them watch and observe what's happening here, rarely am I in my brainstem anymore in the classroom, right? And so just recognizing that there's positive intent there, that I can guide them, I can teach them, and it's usually a teaching moment, right, at that point. Okay, so I love the fact that I don't know if it's not really a nice thing. I put it in quotes. The nice thing about pegging with negative intent is we usually become upset. It's not very nice to be upset all the time, right? And it's from this negative state that we'll seek to punish the child with our words, our tone, or our actions. Okay? And so as we focus on what we don't want, we typically escalate our punitive stance, right? As we start to escalate, as things start to combust, because we get into our brainstem, right? The children are going to have different responses as we do that. One of the responses is they're going to run, right? If we're causing them pain, they're going to run. They may be defensive to protect their self-esteem, right? And the other thing they may do is to strike out, to eliminate those powerless feelings, right, of guilt and inadequacy that we may have caused. So each of these ways, they're seeking a way out of that powerless state, right? They're trying to get away, fight or flight, right? So they're totally down in that state. And when we assign negative labels, then we actually separate them, right? And so we've got to be careful that we want to be the teacher, we want to be the guide, to be able to help them through the big feelings, the big thing that just happened. So when we stay calm, when we're calm, we convey that message that we know that their inner core is good, right? Hitting hurts, right? Not why did you hit, those things. They don't know why they hit. They're in their brainstem, right? And so we convey that it's the actions that are not good, not the person, right? And so because of this backdrop, right, and empowerment that we're trying to give to the kids, the children are more willing to have a teaching and a learning moment. We had an example a couple weeks ago. I was teaching and we had two little boys sitting on the front row. Everybody else was cleaning up. And one of the little boys just broke out with, hey, what the hell? And the other little boy said, no, you mean what the heck? And the other little boy said, no, I mean what the hell, right? And so I said, hey, buddy, I said, that's one of those words that we've talked about before, right? Where in preschool, in this setting, it should be what the heck. And because some people, they might feel bad, their heart hurts when people say the word hell. And so that's what this little boy was trying to say to you, is he doesn't like that word. And so you're welcome to use that word at your house, knowing the context that this child comes from. But in school, that's not a word that we use. So he was trying to give you another word that you could use, right? Oh, okay. And everything was hunky-dory and we moved along. Later on that afternoon, I got a phone call from the grandma. And the grandma said, hey, I'm at the park. And this little boy said to me, Grandma, when can I use what the hell and what the heck? Which one do I use at the park? Right? And so in that just little 2 or 3 minute moment, right, when this could have combusted, right, with the wording that one boy thought he could use and the other was like, no way. But in that 2 to 3 minute moment, we had a great conversation, and this little boy is a deep thinker. He wants to, his inner core is good, right? But he's just trying to figure out, wait a minute, if I can say it at home, wait, where can't I say it? Where can I say it, right? So Grandma was able to have a little conversation with him about that at the park. So anyway, I just love the fact that when we assume positive intent, that typically our life goes better and their lives go better. So on to assuming positive intent this week, and see what happens when you do that. See what happens to your body, to your high blood pressure. See what happens to them and how quickly they're able to de-escalate. Let's go, everybody. Just keep parenting.